Are you still in the shock?
And that was the very last screening of the competition program of OCOM. And with us we have the editor of the film, Filipa. Please join us here. And round of applause for Filipa, who did amazing job, and I can only imagine how hard it was to go emotionally through these materials. But before we go deeper into that, can you tell us a little bit about the director of the movie? Why he's not here, and maybe he had some messages for us.
Well, first of all, thank you to the festival, thank you to you. I'm a little bit nervous because it's very difficult to speak after a projection. So about the director, unfortunately he can't be here. He would love to be with you tonight, but he has some personal problems and he cannot leave Brussels for the moment because he's accompanying his father, which is at the end of life for the moment. So yeah, Marc-Henri is working with Kinshasa since 12 years now. First time he was there because he has a producer, a musical producer, a friend of him, who asked him to go there and try to find a way of getting the visas for these musicians to come to Brussels and make some concerts. So Marc-Henri went there and met all these great artists. And by being in Kinshasa, he started looking on the streets and saw all these kids. And by that time, he was a father himself of young kids. So he was really, really impressed by this. And because he has this big heart, I can say, he just turned the camera to the kids. And then he came back and he made a first movie, a feature film, based on these boys who were living in the streets. And he was really very touched by this, and so he decided to help them, even after the movie. So he was trying to make them go to centers, and he could do it. So all the kids who worked on the film are now out of the streets, this first crew of boys, and they now are big and they have jobs and they are working and they had some education. After this, because it was like, he couldn't just go there, make something, come back, and don't do anything else. So he decided to do a second movie, and this time he was working with virtual reality. So you see these glasses, where you can really enter into the city, and with the kids also, so 3 boys and 1 girl. And the girl, it was Chance. And he got a lot of prizes with these all 2 first movies, and everything he can do for them after. He was always going, sending money, etc., etc. And then Chance, he knew that Chance was pregnant, and he immediately went there to meet her and try to help her. And this third film appears, which is based on the girls' problems, which are worse than, well, it's the boys' problems, it's also a big problem, but the girls, it's even worse. And he was really touched by that, and so he followed her for 6 months, during 6 months, during all the pregnancy and after, when the boy was born. And still now, he's every week, once a month, they can go to a center, and he will send money for them. And during the filming, during the time of filming, he was renting a house for her, for all the girls, but they say they go there, but when he arrives in the morning, they are not there, and so they kept making all these body cells.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the point, because when I watched the whole film, I tried as a director to save her. Like I said, oh my God, now she will make a right decision. Now, oh yeah, she's pregnant and she will give birth. She should change her life. And finally, you understand that this is a philosophy and way of life and some culture, street culture, that's so attracted for them. And this word called freedom, yeah, what is this actually for them?
In
and
fact,
finally I understood only at the end of this film that this is so our film. Yes, it's maybe not appropriate for us to watch this, but can you imagine how painful it is to live like this, like how it is really bad. But it's really our topic. It's really about the culture of living. It's street culture. And this, on the end only you understand it when she taught her boy what he should do when he grew up. Like, yeah, if you are son, about generation, about ancestors, about tradition, you know, of life. She gave to him her tradition. And I have one question, really, that I was curious. Yeah, this film, if this film influenced on her somehow, at least I understand that on that moment, then when you finish the edition and the film, she still were attracted to the street. Now, how is the situation now?
well, I can say that it affects her, all of them, because we made this tour in Kinshasa with this virtual reality, and I was with Marc-Henri and all the crew. We were there, and so I saw these girls and I saw them. And the most important thing, I think, it's nobody looks at these girls, nobody looks at these people on the streets. And that was something that everybody who saw the film, not only the kids, but also we had this help, so we had to show this to people who are not living on the streets, of course, and they were like surprised because they don't see this. It's their city, but they don't see it. So when they walk on the streets, they just don't look at these people. So for Shans and for Dodo and for Shekina and for all these kids who went into the pictures of, into the films of the movies of Marc-Henri, it was a big moment, because you know, when they walk on the streets, nobody looks at them. But now, because they are being filmed, and I have to precise that it was very, very, very small crew. There was only one, sometimes two cameras, no sound, no perch. So, and they were Congolese, the guys who were shooting. So, which is very important. There was no these big crews coming from outside filming them. And he was filming for hours and hours and hours. So when he find them, because every morning was very difficult to find them, sometimes he had to wait for a lot of hours, he just puts a microphone on them and then they go, and he follows them, which make 200 hours of footage that I had to look at and transcribe that. But your question was something.
Is the film influence on her life?
Yeah, it influenced it because, well, on the other two films, it completely influenced it because all the kids are out of the streets, so they have an education. With the girls, it's much more difficult. And there is this problem where when the girls stay on the streets for too long, it's really, really difficult to get them off, because they have a lot of...
They're addicted already.
No, it's in the head, you know. It's so hard that they change, you know. They are so small. Chance, she arrived on the street, she was 8. Dodo, she was born on the street. I mean, she never went to school. Chance ever went to school. Only Shekina went to school until 12, and she decided to go out because sometimes when they are inside the houses, it's worse than outside in a way, you know. Like you see the house of Dodo, where she's living, where the mother is living. It's really difficult. So it changed because it gave them a little bit of confidence on themselves. And they wanted this film. They were really asking to do it. So about, well, I think I answered.
Yeah, can you tell a little bit more about this alternative to their homes? Because we observed that indeed sometimes it's worse than like being by themselves. But what about these centers? What do they offer? How children are treated there? Because I suspect like if there were all rainbows and unicorns, they would probably go there. So what's happening there?
Well, there is, Marc-Henri went with Shekina to a center because she was really asking to go to a center. And so I saw a lot of footages filming on the centers. And for them it's like a prison because they have a lot of rules. They cannot get out. And for them it's really difficult. For this age it's really difficult. They are adolescents. And so they want also to, you know, grow a little bit, and inside of the centers it's really difficult for them to grow up. But when they are because there was a lot of very small girls in the centers, so when they are abandoned on the streets, but that someone can catch them and put them in the center, then it's possible to keep them there. There is a lot of girls in the centers and boys. But when you stay like for 1 year on the street, it's very difficult to get into these studies and stuff when you are 12, 13, 14. It's really difficult, and yeah, Marc-Henri, he wants to open a center now. That's the main goal for him for the moment, and he knows that if he opens a center, it has to be different from the ones that are there, that I was visiting also, because they have to have some freedom, and they have to have a lot of psychological work before getting into studies. And also, they take a lot of drugs, so they are drug addicted. And they say in the footage that before going on the night, they drink a lot and they smoke a lot. So they are like in this. I mean, you can imagine, no? They are not in earth when they go out and have all these men coming up on them.
I mean, there is a lot of shocking moments even to watch, and I believe observing that, staying right behind the girls with camera is also very challenging. And of course, like with our, especially European mentality, like it's a lot of bias when you watch this scene. So I was wondering if there were a moment of interference somehow.
Yes, there is. There is a lot. There is a lot, and there is, and when they fight. We took it off from the editing, but Marc-Henri is always there. But then the artists come and take place of the Marc-Henri, and then he continues shooting. And two very important moments is the birth of the kid. If Marc-Henri wasn't there, she was giving birth on the streets, and the scarf of Shekina. That was also because Marc-Henri was there. She could go to a clinic and also the ecography and all this stuff. This is really a moment where Marc-Henri was.
I read it. I mean, I understood. No, there is no possible way medicine to take so high quality for that land medicine. Just if you are on the streets, nobody cares.
No.
Well, yeah. That's why I said, yeah, maybe the crew made it and organized it. Yes, and I have a question also about the parents. Do you remember we have last year the film about Indian girls from India that parents, also like cultural thing, that parents grew up their kids special for this purpose, because this is the only way to earn money. And as we see from the conversation of with her mom, that she said, I will buy you a house, blah, 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 and you will live there, and mom complains, she took like some hope, even eyes were like, yeah, I agree, just do it, and no matter what you do. The main thing that you have to has love, yeah, it's like, it's so contrast love in all this situation, like this only that moms care about.
Well, the mothers of these girls, well, Chance doesn't know where her mother is. She lost her mother, it's somewhere else, and the father is dead. Shekina, she has parents, but there is this problem of in Congo where the fathers a lot of times separate from the mothers, and they get another wife, and they have other kids with the wife. So when this wife arrives in the life of the father, and the father take the kids with them, and because the other wife arrives, he don't want to have the kids from another bed with them. So if something happens in the family, like the father lost his job, or the car is broken, or whatever, very, very small things, the stepmother says it's the cause of your children. And so there is this ambiguity of, like, they have a lot of children too. In case of Dudu and mother's Dudu, it's different because the mother is already a father, she's already a prostitute, so she couldn't give anything else than, it's like Chance and the baby, But for Dudu and Sephora and all the other girls, it's a lot of these problems of stepmothers and kick the kids out.
Prepare your question, please. But before, I want to ask you about, just to say a compliment of the dynamic of the film.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you from the first minute, and and you just on the last minute, and I understood only now, on the second time when I watch it, that it is also because of the dynamic, that it's so fast changing footages, and everything is built. No, you are not boring on any moment in the film, and this is the compliment to addition.
It's a little bit the editing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit the editing moment. Yes.
Questions? Do you have questions? Yeah.
Really small one. I'm just curious what's the name of Child's baby, because she was so particular about her own name. So yeah, maybe it's a good question.
It's a good question. Normally she wanted to give the name of Marc-Henri, so she said it's Marc-Henri. So then Marc-Henri was not so. So she said it's Little Marc. But the baby is not anymore with Chance. He's alive. At the moment we thought that he was dead, because when we went there they just called her saying the baby is dead, the baby. Then we figured out that it was to have some money. The baby is with the mother of the guy who is in prison, which is not the father, because it doesn't match because he was already in prison when she got pregnant. So we don't know really who is the father. But the baby it's with the mother of this guy who is in prison, and probably, well, he's not in Kinshasa anymore. They said maybe she went with the baby to Angola, to another country.
And she doesn't want to find him, and doesn't have these feelings, mother's feelings?
It's very difficult to answer. When we were there, we had the chance to show to Chance the movie on the telephone, because it was just the end of the editing. And when the moment of the baby arrived, Chance had a panic moment. She was really starting to cry, and it was very strong for us, before that she was very happy, looking at her, and da 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 da. And then when she saw the baby, she was like completely destroyed. And so we stopped and we didn't talk about it because we felt that she can't talk about it. One of the goals of me and Marc-Henri is to go there and show them the movie. It was not possible. All the other movies, Marc-Henri went there to show to kids first in there before showing it in Europe or around the world. But this time there was this pandemic and it was not possible to go there. So we hope to go there before the end of the year. It's complicated to organize and it's very expensive, but we are trying to find a way of going there and show them to the kids, to the ones who are still alive, because it's very rare that they arrive to 25 years old. There's a lot of kids dying on the streets. First time Marc-Henri was there was 25,000 kids on the streets. The last time he was, there was 35,000 of these kids on the streets. And so it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Okay, but is government doing something?
That's very difficult. That's a very difficult question, and I don't want to make a lot of politics. But it seems like for them it's an excuse also to have money coming from outside. So the government knows, and one of the main goals of Marc-Henri, and we are working on it, is to show it to Tshisekedi. And but I think it's going to be difficult, but I hope we can do it. The government knows, but they don't want to see it, and they kind of use it for getting money into these centers where sometimes you go and there is no beds for the kids. There is the buildings, but there is no kids, no beds, but there is a big car in front of the door. So I don't want to accuse nobody, but it happens. There is a lot of corruption, and it's really well. There is the people who are working there since very long time and who are attached to the church, to Catholic Church, they're really doing a very, very, very good job. But that's the ones, and it's like one father taking care of thousands of kids. But we met two fathers there, two centers with the father, and it's from Don Bosco. And it's really, really amazing what they do. And we don't know what's going to happen when they go away, because they are quite old.
We hope they will continue.
Yeah.
More questions? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very strong film. I would like to ask two questions. The first is, what was the motivation of them to participate? You said that they were like seen in the streets and recognized. Was it this, or also some kind of other things maybe?
No, it was really to be watched. I mean, to someone who goes there and take them by their hand and put them in the light. That was the more important. It was not a question of money or whatever. They received a little bit of money, but it's very difficult to give a lot of money to these kids because it's very dangerous for them to have money. So they received food every day. Marc-Henri now have an insurance, so they can go when they are sick. They can go, and Marc-Henri still pays for the insurance for the health, and every month he continues giving them some money, but you cannot give to these kids a lot of money. And sometimes when he was giving them some money at the evening when they go away, sometimes they ask him to keep with him, like he was like the bank account, because you have to understand that they don't have a place to put whatever. They don't have a place to put their insurance card. They don't have a place to put their clothes. When they want to change clothes, they just buy new clothes and throw away the old ones. They don't have a mattress, they don't have anything. And one of the things which is the most important for these girls is to have these sandals. That's why when you see when they get fight, it's the only time you see Shekina crying, it's because Chance took his sandals and started cutting them. And for them, being bare feet, it's really bad. So the sandals, it's the most precious thing that they have, and when they sleep, they put them inside of them. They try to. There's another movie that Marc-Henri made, and you really see that they keep the shoes. It's really important for them. That's the only thing they have. Even have money with them. It's dangerous. So.
Yeah, and the other question, you said, or it was said that it was also Congolese co-production, and that the camera people were Congolese. How was the collaboration? Were they also involved in the editing or in
No,
the
not at all.
narration,
Not at
or
all.
was just the shooting itself?
No, just the shooting. They were not very professional filmmakers. I mean, operators. So there is a lot of. It was very difficult for me to work with the material. That's why you see a lot of times voiceover, because the images are not so good. But for them it was also a chance to be with a filmmaker and to have the opportunity to film. But cameras were coming from here, from Brussels, and. It was important for Marc-Henri to have these Congolese people also to understand what they were talking about, because he doesn't speak Congolese, and the kids understand French but don't speak. And so that was one of the main work I had to do. It's when the footage arrives, Marc-Henri knew that they were talking a little bit about this or that, because at the end of a shoot he will ask to the cameras what they were talking about. But I discovered everything by translating, and this took me a couple of months. It's like 150 hours of translation. It's a lot of time, and it was also the most difficult moment for me, because I was understanding what they are saying, and what you see here, it's like this, and it's something that you can receive. There is a lot of things that they say that I was literally crying for 2 months in front of the images, and I have to send them to Marc-Henri, and I was always like, Marc-Henri, you can't imagine what they are saying. This is really bad. How can we do something with this? It's not possible. Let's go there. Let's take. I thought of adopting them. I sort of, selling my house to go there, and still now. So for me, there is a before and an after. It's like with Marc-Henri, there is a before and an after. So at one point, you have to put your cursor, like down to do something. Because if not, you are just like crying all the time. But if you want to give them a word and give them light, you just put yourself like, okay, this is the reality, and I want to show it, and I want people to see it, and that's the more important thing. So that was the process of, so they didn't have, the process, it was 9 months. We took 9 months of editing together. Weekends, we couldn't, like days and nights, because you wake up in the middle of the night with this feeling, and then we call each other, and yeah. It took it was like a baby.
We can understand you. Last footage, the open door, it's symbolic.
Yeah, that last sequence, it was a gift that they give to, kind of a gift that they give to Marc-Henri. That was the last day he was there. And he was looking for them, so the film was finished, and he wanted to see them one more time. after leaving, and he was looking for them for hours and hours, and finally he found them on this artist place. It's one of the musicians, and they were making a party between them. And they were like, wow, 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 party time. And he was like, whoa! And he took out a camera and filmed it. And the door opened. It's a little bit symbolic. It's because, I don't know if you felt that, but Shekina, she starts very young, and she becomes like after she had this scare, she's like much stronger, and it was really important for her to have this. It's very important for them to have this. It's symbolic for them. It's like now I am a phaser, and so it was a little bit symbolic because it's like if Shekina takes the same way as Chance, so she runs away, and it's like, who can catch her? It's really difficult. So it was a little bit symbolic. It's like everything is still open, and it's very hard to change, to keep them inside. You know? I don't know if it answers the question or...
More questions? Lena? Okay.
My question is more maybe a technical question. In which program did you work?
Other premiere.
Oh, okay.
Just for the editing, yeah. So I edit the image and I also edit the music, yeah. It's like it's Koboko music, but I worked a lot with, yeah. And then we had this mix and whatever. But it's other premiere.
Okay. Why did you choose Premiere? Maybe not Avid, not Final Cut, because you work more in Adobe?
Because I was working in Final Cut before. There is also DaVinci, which is very good, and we work in DaVinci for the coloring, grading. But I'm used to work with Adobe, and I feel like it's an amazing program to work with, and very easy and much better than Final Cut. Before I was with Final Cut, and then I changed when this 10 Pro Final Cut arrived, because I feel like it's like a little bit like iMovie stuff, even the appearance in the computer. So I tried Adobe, and I said, wow, this is great. And so I'm still working with Adobe, not on the last versions, because every time I try the last versions, there is a lot of problems. So I'm working on 21 now, where I have another film. I'm doing on 22, and I'm having all these huge problems. And now I saw that there is a 23 arrived, and I had a lot of problems with that. So I'm still with the 21, and maybe in 6 months I will change to 22. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
The song that was when she gave birth.
Okay.
What was this song?
This
folk
is
song?
no. This is a Belgian jazz singer, David Links, and it's someone that I know from a long time, and he's a really brilliant musician. And in fact, I asked him to make the music. So we went to the studio, and I gave him a lot of, some small footages, some small shots, and he composed this for her as well. He sang a lot of things, and then I chose with my hobby, of course, this small piece.
It was special for the...
It was special for the movie. It was special for the birth. There was another one for the moment where she's lying and being, but then she was like singing herself. It's her, and it didn't match. It was too much, so we just took it off and just kept it for chance.
We are running out of time, and we have time for one more question. And I wanted to drift away a little bit from the negativity and point out that as much as they have a lot of misery in their life, it's obvious, a lot of struggles, but I was amazed by the fact that these artists and girls also take part in these performances, and they are speaking about ecological problems, they're speaking about tradition, heritage. So how would you say, like, how they keep maintaining this? How many people are interested in that? Are there any like educational work between themselves? So how do they keep these traditions?
Yes, definitely there is some education, but it's Spiritus who makes incredible work with these kids. There is a lot of other artists who make this, but it's on this little center. And yeah, that's the only adults that keep opening the door to the children and try to communicate, to educate them with this traditional culture. And that's a chance for them because nobody else do this. And, but it's really Spiritus. He's a very, very special person. And we can see, because we have Instagram, the kids doesn't have phones, but the artists have.
But about him, can you explain where he's coming from? Meaning, like, he's living in the same city.
He's
like
living in Kinshasa. Well, he's living in Kinshasa. It's really huge. It's very, very big. The kids are in the center, but there is a lot of places where the kids cannot go. And Spiritus is a little bit on a part of the city which is a little bit more like a countryside, where there is the boats going to the other side and on. So the kids can go there, and it's a little bit more, you have a space, you have a small house with a green garden, so the kids can go there. But the center, the cultural center is really in the middle of the city, so the kids can also go there, and Spiritus go there, and when they go there, there is always an artist to take them, give them food, and try to do something with them.
Thank you, Philippe, and you can continue personal conversation because we will still have some minutes before the next screening. But for now, we wanted to present you with our diploma for participation in our festival, and of course with our symbolic traditional oko bricks. Yes, because your culture is your weapon, that's why.
And it is made by a craftsman who is a soldier now in our army, and special for making this prize for you. He took a vacation from the front and make it and then come back, so he's now there, and his wife were watching our photos and videos, and she said, say hi to all directors, we made it with full love, can they feel it? I said, yes.
So please say hi to him also when you go back. I know you are going back, and I'm really like, on the other film there was a woman saying, if I had a hat, I would take off the hat. So I do it for you both and for all the crew, which is around the curtains of this festival. It's really amazing. I don't know how you can do it and how you can, you know, but
I think it's the same as with Spiritus.
It's a little bit of a step, but really, I know you are going back and it's difficult, so you will keep energy going and sending you energy.
I will tell you one secret. For example, Lena is living here. I traveled a lot because I became a correspondent for Bulgarian television, and I'm telling about the war. So I go to Bulgarian back, so because of this project because again, to have this